I've been wanting to do a B-sides and rarities for a long time, before I left the band even.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting that we're finally getting to do this.
Because specifically, we've wanted some of the older songs, some of our earliest songs to be on streaming platforms for the first time. But they've never gotten a vinyl pressing.
For a while, they were really like the only songs that we owned the rights to, were the really old songs as well. So like, we're like, oh, we could do something with this like ourselves. But it just never happened because, again, when you're in that constant, you know, cyclic momentum thing, you never really feel like there's time to like look back. Right. You're always looking forward, right? Yeah. And any time that you stop to look back feels like wasted time that you could be moving forward. And that's why I think I'm really excited to actually just like indulge in like nostalgia for a bit before we move on to whatever's next. But I mean, a couple of these songs I still to this day would have quite liked to have been on an album.
Yeah.
So.
And same here.
Let's dive in. Talk to us about Sinking Down.
I wrote this with Seb. We've worked with Seb Borlow, bassist in Neck Deep. Once before writing this song, because we did Winter's Weather. In Seb's bedroom.
You were there.
Yeah, you were there, yeah. So yeah, I went back to Seb's bedroom, and we were writing towards the Great Depression, which I think you can hear in the song. There's like a lot of sort of Thrice and Finch sort of inspiration musically. And yeah, I don't remember why we chose not to put this on the record. I think it was just maybe a little section-y. There's like a lot of, hardcore beat. It's also like really slow. It's really dynamic, it's really loud, but it also gets really quiet.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever like...
The bridge feels a little unfinished. It feels like it's going somewhere that it then doesn't go, and it just goes back to the chorus. So that was like, and I think the only other thing I remember from that time is being like, is it too close to drown?
By Bring Me.
Yeah.
Lyrically speaking. And maybe musically too, but mostly lyrically.
Yeah, I can't really remember why we didn't like pursue. There were a few songs that you wrote with other people that we took into the studio, like the Stigma. We didn't work on that in the studio with Machine. That wasn't one that we then kind of rewrote like we did with the Stigma or...
But still a really cool song, so it's nice that it sort of gets its moment now on this record, because it does have like strong moments.
Yeah.
I think there are like lyrics too where you can sort of see that they were sort of like the initial like idea and inception for things we turned them into. There's a lyric on Sinking Down that's like, this coffin feels like less empty when you make it feel like
we
home.
Reworked that for the chorus.
The handwritten letter.
The handwritten letter.
So like the DNA and like the fabric of this song is still sort of like on the record, but this is where it started, which is kind of cool that we get to finally put this out there.
I remembered that there's a couple of these songs that some people will have heard because we put out on the Poet Society EP.
Yeah.
But I was like, how many people did that go to? Only like 200 people ever downloaded those songs. So
cool.
only 200 people have really heard this song before, I guess. I like that. Obviously with Winter's Weather, Seb was producing. So how was the collaborative
Seb's
side
amazing.
Of working,
Seb
writing?
is such a great songwriter. Like melodically, his way with sort of melodies and structures and just smart songwriting choices. Before he was a member of Neck Deep, he was
He was still a member of Neck Deep.
He was sharing his great ideas. So yeah, he's great to work with. He's a real cool dude. A lot of love for him. Yeah.
Balloons.
Yeah.
This is probably my favorite one that we never released.
I really like this song.
Letting go, when I used to be so afraid of letting go.
I think it's one of those songs that if we'd have written it a year earlier would have definitely gone on okay.
Yeah.
100% gone on okay. But perhaps just didn't fit the Great Depression by the time we were there. It's really catchy. It's a really catchy song.
It's a fun melody. I really love it as a chorus melody. Like Mike and I were both having a lot of fun because I love a vocal melody, especially in a chorus that's sort of like Justin Pierre from Motion City, where it's like it's got a big range. You're just doing like you're just sort of like fluid and going like all throughout the scale and stuff. So I remember Pretty Little Distance, sort of how
I was going to say that one.
The verses and the chorus. But yeah, when I was in a room with Mike, we really liked to do this sort of thing where it was just choosing these really like interesting notes and stuff. But yeah.
I noticed that when I was listening on headphones for probably the first time, the pre-chorus harmonies, I've always thought you have a really interesting sense of harmony anyway, but I found that they were really interesting harmonies. But I think that's actually something that you've been told by producers before. Like they'll be like, oh, that wouldn't have been the natural harmony that I'd have gone, but they really like the harmonies that you do.
Because sometimes it's just really like boring to just do the most, the paint by numbers harmony. Sometimes it's nice to do sort of more what the chords are doing, and then it all starts to like become the glue of the song.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was always fun. I mean, we worked a lot with Mike Green. So yeah, getting back in a room with him again was really cool. It's always really interesting when you're like a professional songwriter, because I've written a lot of songs with musicians and producers and songwriters, and they're great songs, but it's just it comes down to like what's right for the next project. And this song not getting included on an album, I think it's a great song, so it's nice to finally share it. And it fucking sucks when like you just an artist comes in, you write a great song, and then they're like, oh, this isn't really like where we're going next. It's like, well, fuck, like we spent a day together writing a really cool song. So yeah, it's nice that it's finally going to be out there, because I think it's great.
Am I correct in remembering that it's some kind of metaphor for the state of the band, of it potentially ending, or am I making that up?
No, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd done it with Still Remembering, and I sort of did it again with this, which is just that sort of like, how can you sort of like package up and present that sort of uncertainty, that anxiety, in a way that isn't so sort of surface level, on the nose. And it was sort of this allegory, this metaphor for somebody who's like dying, gonna like face their mortality. They're in a hospital, that's the setting of the balloons, right? So yeah, that was sort of how we chose, like the eyes through which we chose to sort of like explore that concept lyrically.
Next is the second Mike Green song, which is the original Stigma,
Yeah.
Boys Don't Cry.
Yeah. Which, by the way, he fucking hated that I wanted to use the lyrics, Boys Don't Cry, in a song. He's like, people do this all the time.
Low-hanging fruit,
Is
that's
what
the
is-
phrase that Mike Green always used to use.
We've taken a lot of terminologies and phrases from Mike Green.
That's money.
That's money. Keep it simple, keep it stupid. And yeah, low-hanging fruit is, which maybe it is, but you know.
And then the terminology that obviously ended up on the final version of the Stigma that we used with Machine was like more cool kid. And obviously you can tell that in the vocal delivery of the Machine version versus the original version.
Machine would always say, be more cool kid,
Yeah.
get more cool kid or something. And yeah, that was, yeah.
But this demo is so different in vibe to what we finally put out.
Massively.
And for anyone that's never heard this demo, it's super poppy.
Stay strong, hold on. You gotta keep it together now.
It is essentially the same kind of melody and chorus hook. That one we kind of took in and we in the studio changed and we like reworked it with Machine. We didn't do that with the others with like Sinking Down or Balloons. We didn't then try and rework that. So how did you know that this song was so special even from that it needed to be reworked?
Well, I didn't. None of us did, because none of us at the time of writing it thought it was a single. Do you remember?
Well, no, yes, I do remember that.
So
yeah.
I don't think it was me, and I don't know if it was any of us. Maybe it was Machine. Maybe Machine was like, this is a great hook.
Yeah.
We need to, the hook needs to live on. We just need to rewrite the music so that it thematically makes some sense. But I liked the song. I didn't think it was a single when we were writing that.
Even when the record was finished and we were deciding singles, and I think it was Mark James who did our PR
For years.
for many years, that he suggested the Stigma as a single.
And I was really surprised by that.
We tend to trust our team more than ourselves when it comes to single choices.
Yeah. Which I think you should do.
Yeah.
You can certainly be too close to a song.
100%. We didn't want Dial Tones to be the lead single
Right.
of Never Happy.
Yeah.
So I think I was personally rooting for Speak Soft as the main lead single. There was definitely some Cheap Shots.
I thought Cheap Shots was going to be the breakout
Yeah.
single of the record, which it was a successful single, but it wasn't the big single
was
off
not,
the record.
no.
It's really interesting when you write a song. It's interesting how each person in the room, the members of the band, the producer, the engineer, is hearing sort of different versions of the same song, because you're hearing like, oh, but this isn't gonna stay the same. But some people think like that's money.
Yeah.
And you're all listening to these different versions of the song. You're subtracting and you're adding, and you know it's gonna be different, or sometimes you're like, this is perfect, why the fuck would we change that? And I think Stigma was sort of an example of that.
Yeah. Because I think that the Great Depression title track was an example of the opposite, where we went in with, and we were like, well, we'll obviously redo all the synths and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Machine was like, why would that's perfect. Why would we redo that?
Yeah.
Just copy that in from your project.
Yeah.
Why waste time like fixing something that isn't broken? You know,
Yeah.
if you get it right in the demo, some things you don't get right in the demo. I think there is obviously the risk of demoitis,
Yes.
becoming too attached to a demo.
Insert definition of demoitis here. I'm just making work for you.
Thank you. I'm going to make it sparkle across the screen.
And then I spin around like a fan. Woo!
Why are we even bothering talking? We should just get up and dance. It'll get way more views. Just dance with some description about the demo.
No, but we're talking about serious shit.
We're a serious band.
We're a serious
We've
band.
always been a serious band.
Yeah.
We've never been fun.
Bleed.
Bleed is probably my favorite song that never got recorded.
I really like this song. This is a really strong chorus.
Make me wanna bleed. Never let it heal. About to let it pour.
It was really shocking to me when you found this, that we'd sort of
I didn't know this existed.
recorded this with Machine during pre-production and wrote a bridge that I don't remember writing.
I know, because we've talked about this song on my TikTok before, but we listened to, I guess, a demo that you'd made on your laptop.
Yeah.
Whereas the demo that is on the Rarities is like a live one that we did in the barn. The more that I've thought about it, that bridge, because I didn't remember that bridge either.
No.
And I think you said to me the other day, you were like, I think Machine was the only person that was like super stoked on that bridge.
Yeah.
And I think I actually have like a very, very vague memory of Machine being the one that kind of like, he took the mic from you. Do you remember sometimes in pre-pro we'd be in the circle
Yeah.
and he'd take the mic and then he'd be the front man and do it. And I think that was one of those moments where it was, he took it. And I think, because I have this memory of being like, where he'd be like, what's the song about? And then we'd have probably gone something like, oh, you know, it's about like not telling the audience what they're supposed to feel. And he'd probably taken that so like literally and be like, right, well then for the bridge, you just yell that.
Yeah.
Just yell it
Yeah.
over and over. But I think that some of that bridge must have got reworked into what is like the Reaper. It feels very like...
Yes, like the syncopation
Yeah.
of that and the dynamic stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah, no, it was. I'm so grateful we got the experience to record a record with Machine. He's made some of our favorite records, and he's, you know, one of these people we can just like FaceTime just out of the blue, and he answers, and he's excited that we called him, and that's fantastic. But being in the studio with Machine is like Willy Wonka is producing your record. Like, you never know the shit he's gonna do next.
Chug it!
In his eyes. The will keep out.
Now! Salvation! Jesus Christ, Foley, swallow it! Fuck him! We're all to blame for the wounded world!
No, you do not.
And it is so exciting. It feels like sort of like the last remnants of that like enormous multi-million-dollar budget to make a record, and you
Yeah.
spend months, if not years, doing it. We really got to like live like a little sliver of that with Machine. And yeah, it's cool that this recording exists. I forgot that it exists. I'm glad that it exists. It's cool to share it. It is rough around the edges, but it's a cool song.
My favorite bit is when you can hear Foley fuck up in it, and he just goes "Rah!" in the background.
In the bridge part.
Yeah. I remember that song on the cutting. Is it the cutting room floor? Is that what people say? I was about to say cutting board floor, but that's not right, is it? That's what you chop your vegetables on. on the cutting room floor, when we were deciding, you know, Sinking Down would have been on the list, and probably even Balloons would have been down the bottom at that point, and we were deciding which 12 tracks were going to make the cut.
Yeah.
This Bleed lost out to Truth I'll Never Tell.
Yeah, sure, right.
Which I've never forgiven that song for.
Right.
I think the other aspect of why that song didn't make the cut was we just felt like it was maybe too lyrically on the nose. It perhaps was a song that was on the line of at risk of doing what we were trying to criticize.
Yes, yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
the glorification of...
When like satirizing something, but it then actually becomes problematic in itself. That was the risk with this song. That if people, because I've seen people not understand, I remember vividly there's like a video album review of the Great Depression critiquing this song might just save your fucking life line, where they're like, oh, well, actually, if a song's going to save your life, it doesn't need to tell you. And it's like, well, actually, it's very clearly quite sarcastic and like tongue-in-cheek and dripping in irony, but obviously the risk of some people not getting it. The other thing with this song is obviously the second verse is just the same as the first verse, which implies an unfinished song, but we could say that it was purposeful, like Mr. Brightside. Like Mr. Brightside, the second verse is just the same as the first verse. And you could call it like, it's about the cyclic nature of what you could write. You could say some bullshit, but that's what we will. That's what artists do.
Go.
The first demo of The Hurt, the Hope, which is titled Bully.
Yeah.
This is another one of those songs where it's really funny because out of these 5 Great Depression B-sides, 2 of them have the same part in it.
Right.
Which is the Say Goodbye, Say Goodnight hook that ends up in the Question, the Answer. So it's in the Bridge of Balloons, and it's the start of the chorus of this version of Bully.
Yeah.
And it's just really funny how many times we tried to like insert that in a song somewhere for it to work.
Yeah. I think it was there less so as like a placeholder, but it was nice and it was strong. It sort of had this like simple nursery rhyme thing about it. And we didn't know which songs would stay and which would go, and there was some certainty that it would work, and it hadn't found its place yet. So it was just trying to, maybe this is the right song for this really strong sort of lyric and melody sort of thing. So yeah,
there was quite a bit of that around the Great Depression, of just like almost like moving bits around, like a jigsaw,
like a collage, like a Frankenstein's monster of a bunch of different songs. Yeah.
But I mean, for the most part, like the verses are pretty much there. I tell you what, listening to it, I do miss, and people won't realize what's in the final version of The Hope, which is Machine, our producer, beatboxing in the background of The Hope. The drum sounds when it kicks in, when it's like, it doesn't hurt. That's literally our producer doing that, going, and we'll insert a clip here. All the choir at the end of the song, at the end of the end of The Hurt, the Hope. It's on the Reaper as well. There's a lot of choir on the record. It's not a choir.
It's Machine.
It's Machine.
Being his own choir.
Just layering himself.
It's amazing.
It
sounds real cool.
Yeah.
And we put that in like our backing tracks live. Like that was like behind us as a full band most nights too. So it was real cool.
Yeah. Because we did talk about getting an actual choir in.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't that we didn't have like the budget or whatever. Like we could have made it happen, but I think we were just like, this is fine. Like this sounds good. It sounds
really cool.
different and unique and stuff. And it's added like a really nice nice je ne sais quoi to the tracks. You just can't replicate because...
Yeah, that's not coming in your sample pack or whatever.
No.
Yeah, that's just machine being machine.
I'm letting go when I used to be